Hey guys, what's up, and welcome back to part 2 episode of this series. And if you haven't seen part 1, then I highly recommend you click on the I button on the top right corner and watch that video. So in this episode I'm going to open up this DC motor and show you what's inside. So as you can see, the entire motor is held by these bending edges of the metal casing that is bended inwards. And to open the motor, first of all we need to pull the pin in the brush section. So after pulling this pin out, the entire brush section will come out. So I'm using a screwdriver to actually push the pin out, and then the brush section is going to come out very easily. So the design is completely simple. The pin is completely out and this is the brush. It's a very simple design, not very hard. So upon looking inside through the hole, you can see the commutator and the coils. So the armature is not that big, it's very small, and the winding wires are pretty thick, so maybe that's why the motor is so fast and it heats up pretty much quickly. Okay, so let's open it. So the opening process is very simple. All I need to do is straighten up these edges, these bended inward edges, and then the front part of the pump section will come out very easily, along with all the components inside the motor. So it's not hard to open the inward bending edges. And I'm almost done here. So it's coming out. So there you go, the entire motor is open and every component is out of the case. So as you can see, the magnet is also the magnet has also came out with the armature, and the magnet is not fixed inside. That's because the magnet has a notch on the side, and that sort of locks with a notch that matches with a notch inside the case and locks with it, and the entire thing just pushes it into its place. So to open the shaft, I need to open the front cover and then the impeller, and then there is this plastic thing that is in between the armature and the impeller. So in the front side you can see a cup like thing that has the bush, and then there is a rubber kind of thing that is, I believe, the seal that keeps the motor section, the dry section, separate from the wet section. And it has some kind of grease that is applied on the outside. So it has some sort of rust to it, so maybe it was not that effective on sealing the water. Anyway, the motor was still functioning when I got that. So I have arranged all the parts of this pump according to the way I have opened it, and at a single glance you can see all the parts. So from the carbon brushes to the pump section. So I noticed that there was no grease or lubrication on the bushings, so I'm applying some lubricating oil into the bush and the shaft. So this was the only problem that it had, and that's why it was making this weird noise. So after lubricating it, I believe it will run much smoother. Okay, so now I'm going to fit in the magnet. So the magnet has this notch on the edge, and it has two notches on both the sides, and then there is a small hole on the other side here. So that hole is supposed to be facing downward when I'm going to put it inside the casing. So that small hole should be downward because the notch has to be aligned with another notch that the case has inside. You can see this is the motor case, and there is a small notch on the left side. So if I fit the magnet upside down, then it will not work because I've already done that and the motor was not working, and then I figured out that this was the problem. So the magnet has to be on the right direction and locked with the notch. So when it is on the notch, you can see the magnet does not rotate. Otherwise, when you power the motor, the armature is going to rotate on a counterclockwise direction, and the magnet is going to come off from the notch and rotate counterclockwise or clockwise, the opposite direction of the armature, and it's not going to work. So I noticed there is a positive and negative marking on the terminals. I don't know whether you can see it or not. So in this way I can find out the direction of rotation. So plus and minus, if I put it on the right way, then it's going to pump the liquid, otherwise it's not. So let me put the pin back into its place so that the carbon brushes stays locked. So let's see whether it rotates or not. So here I tried to run the motor, and as you can see, it just rotated for a fraction of a second and then it stopped, and that's because there is nothing to push the front cup, the front bushing cup downward, and that's why the armature rotated counterclockwise and the magnet rotated on the clockwise direction coming off from the line, and the notch locks that was inside. So later I found out that I need to put the rubber sealing thing along with the front cup, and the rubber sealing thing, the sealing o-ring or whatever, it actually pushes everything downward and keeps it in its place. So that's the rubber cup and the metal cup. The metal cup has the bush which holds the shaft in the center. So as you can see, I am putting inside this cup, and now let's put inside the carbon brushes, and now let's test it. And now you can see it runs really fast. So as the armature has a winding of thicker wire, so a huge amount of current flows through it and the motor runs faster, but also the motor pulls a lot of current, that's why it heats up. But when this motor is fitted into the vehicle, it does not run for that amount of time, only 30 or 40 seconds at best, maximum time. So it does not heats up when it's working on the vehicle, when it's attached with the windshield cleaner solution tank. So you can see this is the impeller that fits inside, and that plastic thing that goes behind the impeller. So as I was saying, that when this motor was fitted into a vehicle with the windshield cleaner solution tank, it only runs for 30 or 40 seconds, and so it does not get enough time to heat up. And here I'm going to run it for say about 1 minute or 2 minutes. So I tested it while running 1 or 2 minutes, and that's why it was heating up. So this motor is not meant for running for a longer period of time, unless you have some way to clean the metal body, cool the metal body, not clean actually. So So the actual process of fitting it is, first I need to put the plastic thing, and then I need to put the impeller above it, and then I'm going to push the outer cover inside. So actually while I was doing that, I was a little bit confused of how to do it, but later I found out that this is actually the way. It's the reverse direction of how I opened it. So there is a notch cut into the shaft, and I have to match the notch with the notch on the impeller. I started to match the notch match. Anyway, so you can see the impeller is fixed, and I'm testing it every now and then to see whether it's correct or not, whether the impeller touches the outside ring, the plastic ring or not. So the plastic ring has another notch cut into it, which should be matched with the outer cover, and then everything should be pushed and it's completely done. Now all I need to do is bend the metal strips inward again so that it remains in that position. So this is how the motor looks inside, and this is how it pumps. So if you haven't seen my part 1 of this video, then you should definitely see it. I will leave a link about that video in the I button on the top right corner. So do have a look, where I have actually used this pump to pump some water, and this is actually a clip of that video, so do check that. And thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, then hit the like button, and if you didn't, then you can dislike it and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new. So have a nice day. I'll see you later.